What is up, you guys? This is the Fallout with here, and today I'm doing the video, a new one, a new special kind of one. It is what if Deku was the Ghost Rider? Oh boy, not the hiccups. Now, if you guys know, if you guys like the videos, my videos, just like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so that way, if anything, you can just see the next video, or at least give your opinions about it, because I really respect y'all. I like the fact that I hear from y'all. I'm glad hopefully everybody's doing well. Yeah, I haven't been doing videos due to work, and my nephew, he's gotten older now, so now he's been able to walk and get into more trouble. It has been a chore to take care of him, but knowing that he's going to be knowing the fact that he's my first ever nephew, it makes me very happy to take care of him. But y'all guys weren't a part. You guys aren't hearing. This isn't about the nephew or me. This is about what if Deku was the Ghost Rider. Now, we start off with Deku on the ground with a bleeding nose and possibly a fracture to his skull. Izuku has been through the ringer ever since he met Bakugo. It started off as innocent enough. We all know what happens. Izuku gets bullied. But in this timeline, Izuku did something that Bakugo never thought of. He defied him. He defied Bakugo and just told him that he was never gonna give up his dream to becoming a hero. Even when he didn't have a quirk, he said, if anything, I will become the #1 hero, or I will just be the hero that people will need. Bakugo didn't like that. And we're gonna go back in time a little bit, before Izuku got beaten up by Bakugo and his friends. We start off at school. The day that it actually happened. Izuku was sitting in class with the rest of the students, overhearing Bakugo's chants about becoming the #1 hero and being the only one to ever leave from the school. Izuku in this is a high schooler, by the way. So, you guys at least understand what's happening. But Izuku isn't caring about all that. He's happy for him, but that's not on the top of his list. He just doesn't want to hear his teacher talk about him because he also applied for UA. But the teacher was going to do it anyway, and fate wasn't on Izuku's side at the moment. Saying, "Oh, Izuku, you're going to be in UA too, right? Well, I guess we have 2 candidates for the job for going to UA." Izuku kind of flinched for a second, looking back, seeing that Bakugo's already upset. But he doesn't actually move from his seat or get mad. Or not move from his seat. He doesn't actually yell at Deku. He just holds his tongue. Seeing this, it's kind of weird that Bakugo did that. Thinking maybe he finally stopped. Maybe he won't get bullied ever again. But if that was the case, I wouldn't have told you about everything else up to the beginning of what I was speaking about. You see, after school, Izuku basically started walking out of the class until a student with long fingers decided to pull him back. And all he hears from this student was, "Hey, boss, I heard, what's it called? You said that you needed to speak with him?" And Bakugo got up right to his face and says, "Yes. Now, you're going to, me, you, and these two over here, we're going to the back of the school. Because I need to talk to you, Izuku." Or, not Izuku, Deku. Izuku looks at him with that scared look that Bakugo always liked seeing. Izuku, knowing that this wasn't going to end well for him. After all, he said, the teacher did say that he wanted to apply to UA. Something that Bakugo always told him he will never be allowed to do. And Bakugo basically just walks towards the back of the school with the other two basically grabbing Izuku. Despite all the protests, despite pleading for them to not do this, it didn't matter to Bakugo. It didn't matter one bit. Bakugo, after telling those two to let him go, basically grabbed his face and just slammed it onto the ground, exploding it while doing so, with Izuku just coughing up from the not only from the blood, but from the smoke that came out of his lungs, saying that his attack almost killed him. And Bakugo looks at him, says, "Does it look like I care?" And just starts punching him, and punching him, and punching him, and punching him, and punching him, stomping on his stomach, kicking him in the side of his chest, grabbing his hair, and basically pulling Izuku up, and afterwards telling him that there's no way that a quirkless guy like you, there's no way that a quirkless Deku like you could ever think to be a hero. And Izuku says, "But what if I just take the support course, and after that I can just be a support hero? You won't have to. You won't have to worry about me doing being a combat hero. I could just be some kind of support hero." This irritated Bakugo after he said that. With Bakugo looking at him, says, "Worried? You think I would worry about you? No less being a quirkless Deku? You think that's gonna make me scared?" And he starts just walloping on him, choking him out for a couple of seconds. After that, grabbing his arm and starting to burn it. After that, Izuku just wakes up again, saying that it burns, and basically telling the other two just to start stomping on him and hitting him. This is when Bakugo basically goes on his phone and just sees the text that he has from his mom. And this is when Bakugo tells him something that will change the course. It will change the way Izuku looks at things. This changes the history of what happens to Izuku. As he looks at him, he just stares at him and says, "You know, there is another way for you to be a hero." And Deku looks at him, thinking that, is he actually trying to help him out? But poor Izuku knows that this can't be true, because Bakugo has never shown him kindness. This wasn't going to end well, and Izuku's Izuku's prediction was right. Bakugo says, "If you want a quirk, why don't you get on top of the building, get on top of a building, and after that take a swan dive. So that way, if you reincarnate, you can possibly have a chance. You can have a chance to have a quirk. Wait, you will have a chance. There will be a chance for you having a quirk the next life. And Deku just hearing him out. This is when Bakugo just says that, let's go, guys. And Izuku just takes it all in. Izuku was a freshman at that time. So, really, he knows that there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 years left until he goes into UA, saying that even though it's 4 years, there's 4 years left until I can become a hero. Bakugo's giving me an easy solution. Him actually kind of going crazy for this second, and just thinks to himself as he gets back up. As we resume to where Izuku was afterwards, or resume to what Izuku was doing, which was just walking up the stairs in the school, walking up until he reaches the rooftop. Izuku has a smile on his face, saying that Bakugo was absolutely right. Why didn't he think about it? Why wasn't he smart enough as Bakugo? He should have thought of this beforehand, but it was always like Kachan, his childhood friend, to always be smarter than him. And Izuku just, well, he gets over the railings, and Izuku, with a smile on his face, says, "Thank you, Bakugo. Even though you hurt me and bullied me, I'm glad that we got to be friends." And basically is starting to feel his body become weightless. And weightless until all you hear is just a thud. All you hear is a thud. And Deku is, well, opening his eyes, saying, "Did I do it? Is this it? Am I going to now reincarnate? I wonder who my next parents will be. At least Mom won't have to worry about me anymore. After all, I feel like I ruined her life by just existing. Dang, I should have thanked Bakugo personally. But maybe it's the fact that he was just being kind to me. I don't know. But what he sees is different. He sees a bunch of people walking around. Tens, hundreds, maybe thousands. It looks more than that. Millions of people walking around, angry at society, angry at something. And he walks up to the first person he sees, which was somebody his age. And he looks at him and says, "Hey, are you okay?" To which, well, the guy says, "I hate everything. I hate those quirked bastards. I hate what they've done. They should all suffer. Why am I the one that suffers?" As Izuku says, "Wait, but are you okay though? Mister, is he your son or something?" As he also hears somebody says, I worked so hard just for them just to kick me out, just for them to fire me. And Izuku looks at him and just says, "Sir, is he your son, or can you call can you call an ambulance? Because this guy sounds kind of crazy for a second." And Izuku sees other people, and now here's what they're saying. And I can't do multiple voices at once, but it pretty much, Izuku hears, "Why did Mom have to kill me? Why did my friends leave me for dead? Why did that villain just attack me and only me? If I wasn't a hostage, if I had a quirk, would I lived from that situation? I couldn't join any clubs because they needed, what's the word? Because you have to have a strength quirk for this. This cafe, you can only work if you have a fire quirk. You can only have a water quirk to join this workforce." And Izuku just hears multiple people angry, but the one thing that they were talking about was the fact that none of them had a quirk. Not anyone. Sorry about that. Freaking hiccups. But anyway, none of them have a quirk that he knows. They all look normal. Some of their skin may look a little out of place. But other than that, nobody seems to actually have a quirk. Heck, nobody here has like a mutation quirk on them. Nobody looks kind of different. They all just look like regular people. Maybe one of them has a quirk. Is it just quirkless people? Because of the whole fact that I can't speak because of the fact that I don't have like a thing to basically speak out multiple words, Izuku figures out that none of them has a quirk, and they're all mad at people who had quirks. But that doesn't stop Izuku from asking questions. This is when somebody actually notices him and says, why aren't you mad? Why aren't you angry?" And Izuku says, "What do you mean?" And he yells at him and says, "Don't play dumb. Some of us seen what happened to you. We know that you were bullied by a person with a quirk. That young man told you what to do. We see a lot of things. We've gone through hell. That particular spot, we've all been there. That part of us that just died. Heck, some of the people around here actually committed suicide that way, by just jumping off a building. But you don't seem to be angry. Why is that?" And Izuku says, "I don't know. I just want to be a hero." "So you decided to take your own life?" And Izuku just says, "Yes. I thought that my friend told me that if I, jump off a building, I can possibly reincarnate to have a quirk." "Ah, I see. People have been told that before. None of us know if it's true or not." And everybody somehow stopped and looked at this one kid who was radiating hope. All of them thought to themselves, this kid, he doesn't hate quirked people. He doesn't hate them at all. He respects them. He loves them. He admires them. How could that be? Maybe he has a quirk. And this is when they start thinking to themselves, he might actually have a quirk. And Izuku just says, no, I don't have a quirk. I'm quirkless. The doctor told me. And they say, could it be a lie? No, it can't be. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been here in the first place. And Izuku says, what's happening here? And this is when one of the guys that died, the first quirkless person to actually be dead. Ah, sheesh. Somebody texted me. That doesn't matter. What he hears is, I'm the first one to ever seen a quirk. I was the first one to be hated and admonished because my daughter had a quirk a long time ago. These people here, well, these people have no quirks. And Izuku says, who are you? And this is when the man looks at him and says, son, I have long since forgotten my name. You won't need any name for me. If anything, I am just someone who has been a part of the hatred. But being old myself, I've been wise to the world. And I know that my daughter didn't pose any threat to me. I have no hatred for her, yet I loved her. These people have no quirks. These people here have been spat on by society, only wanting to be accepted, only wanting to be loved. Parents who admonished them and basically killed them for not having a quirk. Friends being the same way and being left for dead when they had nothing. Fiancés or husbands to those who had quirks, but being quirkless themselves, no, not a lot of people accepted it. I think if I'm really looking at you very closely, I think you are the only one who still wants to be a hero. Izuku says, you can see that? The man looks at him and just says, yes, I do. I know what it's like. Now that I've seen plenty, and I mean plenty, of souls. And Izuku says, so these are dead people. So the reincarnation thing wasn't true. Bakugo lied to me. Man, that's harsh. Yes, life can be very harsh. But I decided that this world needs somebody who will stand into the light again. Let me tell you, child. Let me ask you if I'm being serious. Say you were given power. Would your dream still be to be a hero? Would being a hero, if you had power, mean that you can give people hope for those who have no quirks? What would you do with it if you had a quirk? And Izuku says, well, The man stops him and says, no. Don't worry. Let me see within your head. This is when he grabs Izuku, and Izuku just doesn't move. As the man basically takes a couple of minutes to just see through his future and his past. Saying if he had his parents' quirk, he would have been not the #1 hero, but he would have been a hero that people would admire because he found ways to, well, he's found ways to beat the system. He's found ways to overcome obstacles that were mighty. Being known as an underdog. Being known as somebody who cared about people genuinely. And seeing that Deku right now is in a predicament where he's not going to be going anywhere. This is when the man looks at him and says, I want to ask you a question. If we give you power, will you use it to save everybody, no matter who it is? And Izuku says, oh, you mean like villains as well? And the man says, I can't say that would be a requirement, but to at least give those who have no power, who have some power, who have power, would you give them all an equal chance to be saved? And Izuku says, I just want to save everybody, no matter who it is. I don't believe that somebody should be given more of a preference just because they have a quirk or not. Whether or not you don't have a quirk, that doesn't mean you're completely useless. This is when Izuku smiles at him, and the man says, but you listened to your friend, and you decided to, well, die in order to gain power. And Izuku says, yeah, I know, and I'm very sad of the fact that I did that. I'll tell you this, you're not sad that you didn't, that you did it. You're sad because you're not reincarnating. But you are still young. But I'll give you an opportunity. This once-in-a-lifetime chance. Besides, you technically don't have a life right now, so you only have this one chance. We all will give you our soul. We will merge onto you, creating this one new entity. You still will be the same, depending how it goes. But you will have power that nobody ever thought of. Your abilities will be so crazy. And this is when Deku looks at him and says, what do you mean? And the old man says, once a long time ago, I saw this one man having the power to do things that we never seen. But I know he was known as a Ghost Rider. And Izuku says, what's that? And the man tells him, well, long ago, there was these riders. This one was riding a bike. And when there's always some kind of an evil, he would just ride to wherever he needs to be and save people, destroy evil. But people knew that he had a name, which was the Ghost Rider. Whether or not you believe it, that's all up to you. But now that you have power, you will become a Ghost Rider. And Izuku just looks at him and just says that's pretty cool, but how is this gonna work? This is when the old man tells him, I already told you, young man. But don't worry. We're all going to give you our power. Whether or not they gave us permission to. See, these souls are basically like a flock of angry sheep. They just follow and they just do. Just remember to try to be accepted by the world. Try to be loved by it. Try to be accepted, loved, and give hope to the souls that are here. That the quirked aren't bad. That everybody in this world is equal. That we should all, one day, have a chance at life. And Izuku says, that's pretty deep. And this is when the old man says, huh, that's what she said. And Izuku looks at him saying, wait, what? What did she say? The old man says, yeah, it was only good in my generation. I guess this generation has something new. And this is when basically they all start crowding Izuku, and Izuku starts drowning in power. And Izuku basically feels angrier and angrier. Almost as if his heart is just set ablaze. The more hate he feels, the more hotter it is. The more he's suffocating. Anyway. So, Izuku, now finally feeling the hatred, starts feeling even more heat going within his soul until it starts sparking out of control, almost as if it starts to explode. And all Izuku wants is to be a hero. With all that being said, Izuku just basically passes out. And, well, what goes on is that he feels better. He feels better than ever. And Izuku feels like he's a new man. He feels bigger. He feels taller. And when he wakes up, well, after he woke up, he went to talk to his mom. And he says, Mom, how did I get into bed? And this is when she looks at Izuku. And Izuku is 6 feet tall. Well, he's 6 feet 6 inches tall. And she looks at him like, who are you? Who is this man? And he says, Izuku! Izuku! And Izuku says, Mom, what are you talking about? It's me. And she says, I remember how my son looks. He had puffy cheek. He had baby cheeks. He was short. He was basically almost as tall. He was taller than me just by a bit. And you can't be Izuku. He wasn't this big. Golly, he wasn't that muscular either. Was it this? Did you take steroids, Izuku? And Izuku says, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And he basically runs to the bathroom to look at himself in the mirror. And he says, "Oh my God. What the heck happened?" This is when Izuku just says, I changed. And she says, "You changed? You just turned into an adult. My baby just turned into a man. And I didn't even get to, go through his high school years yet." And this is when Izuku says, "Did I awaken a quirk?" And she says, "Maybe, or maybe puberty hit you like a truck?" And Izuku says, "Did I get isekai'd in a sense? Did I get hit by truck-kun?" And Izuku realized that maybe what he thought of yesterday wasn't a dream. This is when Izuku feels kind of dizzy, and afterwards says, "Mom, I probably didn't get enough sleep." And Inko says, "Well, your height, your baby cheeks." And Izuku says, "No, don't worry about it, Mom. Maybe puberty just hit me very hard. Or maybe it could be a quirk." She stops to think. But she knows deep down inside that maybe it is just puberty. She understands that he won't have a quirk ever. So she can't be very, talkative about it. Knowing that's kind of a touchy subject for Izuku, and says, "Listen, Izuku. If anything, I will just, I'll fix you some breakfast right now. It's nice to see that you're gonna grow up to be a fine young man, though." And she says, how about just some eggs and bacon with toast?" And Izuku says, "Thank you, Mom." And this is when he says, "Mom?" And she says, "Yes, dear." Izuku looks at her and says, "Mind if I just go to a new school?" And she says, "Yes, but why, dear? Are you getting bullied at school?" And Izuku says, "I just think that going to a new school will be beneficial for me." And she looks at him. Golly. She looks at him and says, "Yes, dear. I'll find there might be a school somewhere that could probably accept you, knowing that you're a very smart young man." And hold on here. Alright, sorry about that. So Izuku understands that he's gonna go to a different school. He tells Inko that he doesn't want to go to the other school, and she knows that he's been getting picked on. So she thinks, why not just send him to another school? There's a school not too long if he just takes the if he takes the train station over to the other place. It won't be such a bad idea. This is when she just tells him that, okay, let's just send you off to a different school. And it's this would be the one. This would just be a let's see. I'm gonna send him to the one that not Bakugo, golly, not him. That Kirishima and Mina go to. And well, these two. I mean, not these two. Well, yeah, technically, Inko, Inko just tells him to have a good day. And Izuku just goes to this new school. After after like a week of telling telling the principal about it, him agreeing, and with Izuku outside, afterwards he hears the principal says, "Good. We can actually have somebody who's not quirkless in our school. It can actually make our school look a little better." And Izuku just starts having these hateful thoughts in his head. But he controls it. He says that he shouldn't feel like it. So, Izuku just goes into this new school and just introduces himself, saying that, "Hi, my name is Izuku Midoriya. I am glad to meet everybody here." And a lot of the people just see this kid and it's like, damn, this kid has good genetics. But he's basically he's on the thinner side, so he kind of looks more, he has little muscle onto him, or he has a nice amount of muscle onto him, but he's basically tall and on the thinner side. So yeah, everybody just sees him and thinks, "Oh yeah, he's gonna probably get people are probably gonna crush on him and soon enough." And Izuku just starts blushing a little bit, says, "Yeah, I hope that we can all be friends here." His nervousness kind of just stops afterwards. I think, being dead kind of happens to be the reason. But Izuku says that he has to be a hero. He has to be a hero now. And since he's already being accepted to try out for UA High, for UA College. Yeah, so really, now they're going to actually get ready to help Izuku out, because he knows that Inko has been getting more sick over the years. Every time her constant coughing up stuff like blood. At first, he thought it was allergies because she told him it was allergies. But Izuku knows that after becoming a little bit more older and wiser, he knows that that can't be allergies. And when we get to the Bakugo residence, well, we see Bakugo getting yelled at by Mitsuki and getting basically his ear being pulled by her, saying that I heard from Inko that Izuku isn't going back to that school, and I know that you're not on good terms with him, which leads me to believe you're the reason why Izuku's not there. Is it? And this is when Bakugo says, "I could care less about what he's doing. It's a good thing he's gone. I don't need a worthless chump like him as a friend." This is when she basically just starts yelling in his ear, "Oh, is that right? The same one that helped you out a couple of times? The one that always admired you and always liked you?" Thinking to himself that you guys will be friends for a very long time. Yeah, don't think I'm oblivious to what you do. The only reason why I don't is because he doesn't tell me. Which makes me even more mad, because I should have just I should have just wrecked you for everything that you've done to that poor boy. And this is when he says, "Inko told me about him getting burn marks and how the other day he just said that his clothing was burnt and parts of it were just torn off. Not only that, she said that he said that you were with he was with you, and he said that, damn, so he snitched on me. And this is when he says, he didn't snitch on you because he wasn't a part of you to begin with. He just did the right thing and told us that Bakugo did this to him, saying that he, what's that word called? Oh gosh. Saying that he was trying, that you were trying something new. And I guess that this whole time he never came to this house because you were the one that did all these bad things to him. I should just tell UA, the college, to not accept you for what you've done. But after I got on the phone with him, he said not to do that. Bakugo looks at him and looks at her with shock and says, "What are you talking about?" And she says, "Oh, now you're interested? Well, just to let you know, he said that he doesn't want to be the cause of him not being a hero." And this is when Bakugo says, "The nerd said that? That shitty Deku. Once I see him, you'll do nothing to him." And this is when she basically crosses her arms and just tells him that, yeah, you're not going to do anything to him. Not as long as I have a say-so about it. And this is when Bakugo just gets upset about it, about what happened. And, well, yeah. Izuku's life is going to change. And instead of talking to Bakugo anymore, there's other people that talk to him. And Izuku usually just stays by himself, being known as he's, man, I always forget. Sorry about that, people. But they called him the Sunflower because he brightens people's day with his, well, radiant energy. He doesn't show any happiness or nothing of the sort, but he's like a sunflower. It's very tall, but very quiet. And they just see him as like, well, the girls mostly see him, not the guys. The guys are kind of about it. They think he's kind of cool, but being with a lot of girls, they kind of not talk to him. But one girl sees him, and her name happens to be Mina. She looks at him one day and thinks to herself that he's pretty cute, but he doesn't seem to, well, do anything besides reading and sticking to himself, even at lunch. I heard that he was very smart, so maybe one day he can be maybe a lawyer? Maybe an accountant? With his height, though, yeah, that'll be a very tall accountant. And she says, "What do I care?" And basically starts puffing her cheeks because she doesn't want to admit that, he's kind of cute like that, or at least tell him that. She's just kind of in her own thoughts. Pretty much Mina stuff. This is until one day, after 2 years in school, they just see Izuku like just as a normal kid. But there is a difference now. What happens with the Gigatom Gigantica Machina or something like that? Well, the day Mina was supposed to protect her friends and Ejiro saw it, or basically Kirishima saw it, they saw one day this man whose head was covered in flames jumping around with a chain and basically grabbing him. As the day happened to go by like any other day, Mina was walking with some people until he saw two girls getting picked on by this one tall dude. For a second, when she saw it, she thought it was Deku in some weird cosplay. But they saw he was actually way bigger and saw that this guy was not Deku and saw him as a threat to the girls. So she tried to stick up for the sorry about that. She tried sticking up for them, protecting them from this monster, from this villain. But even she was scared because of the fact that how tall he was. She thought that she might get crushed, or even worse, dead. This is when Kirishima saw this, and he thought to himself he should do something. But his legs were shaking. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, and he was angry about it, saying that he wants to stop him. He has to stop him. But this is when they just hear somebody with, well, with a cackling laugh. But they don't know where it's coming from until they see him on the sky. This one man whose head is covered in fire, who seems to be flying somehow with wings, basically grabbing Gigantica Machina, grabbing him and basically kicking him so hard that the guy falls over, grabbing his chest, saying that it burns and it hurts. And this guy just walks towards him and takes off the wings. He doesn't take off his wings. He basically what is the word for? He has basically metal wings, but he retracts the wings. Okay, there we go. He retracts his wings, and afterwards walks up to him and says, "So many people dead. So many people scared. So many people scared. I see that it's you." And he says, "Who the heck are you?" I forgot whether he could talk or not, so I'm just gonna say it, that he said that he was talking. But Izuku just stomps on his chest again and says, "Look into my eyes. You have bathed in the blood of the innocents, and you shall do it no more. So look and feel their pain." This is when Mina just sees the guy staring at daggers at this giant, and afterwards the giant basically crying out in anguish, halting and screaming, grabbing his eyes as if it were burning as she saw the smoke that was coming out of it. Well, she just gets scared a bit, but she thinks that this man saved them. Was he a villain or was he a hero? And she can't help but admire this man for falling out of the sky with fire, with the wings of, well, wings that were covered in flames. And afterwards, he says that you all should all go. Call the cops. And afterwards, just, well, he basically deployed the wings again and just started flying. This is when Kirishima saw this man and just said that man was very manly. So manly, in fact, that it changes his perspective. Changes it really, really, really different. It says that's the most manliest man I ever seen. So manly, in fact, that his manhood just outshines everybody else's manhood. This is the most weirdest manhood thing I ever talked about. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for this episode. So what did you guys think about this Ghost Rider? This one is a different one indeed. And sure, it didn't have any action, but at least now we've gone through the whole thing of why and how this is the new Ghost Rider. And tell me, what do you think? Is it, if a bunch of souls combined together could in fact make a Ghost Rider, or does it have to just be one strong demon, angel, or spirit itself? But anyway, leave a comment on the chat. But like I always say before, like, comment, do subscribe to the channel here, people. This has been the Fallout Wood if you're here. Bye.